I shall carry to my grave the consciousness that I at least meant well for my country, James Buchanan famously remarked. He is widely known as one of the worst presidents in history after a disastrous 4 years in office. He was born on April 23, 1791, to James Buchanan and Elizabeth Spear. He graduated from Dickinson College in 1809 and studied law in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. He shortly began a successful law practice, but his knack for rhetoric propelled him into politics. He is most often considered a Democrat, and after an extensive early political career, he was nominated for president in 1856. After winning the election against Republican John C. Fremont, he proved himself inadequate as a president due to his inability to effectively deal with the issue of slavery. He did little as his time ran out as president and did not run again for office. He was so hated at the time that his portrait had to be removed to prevent its desecration. He died of old age on June 1, 1861.
Grover Cleveland, our 22nd and 24th Democratic president. Grover was the fifth of 9 children to Anne and Richard Cleveland. Grover lived in New York for most of his childhood, and then later, in 1885, Grover got elected president for the first time. Grover Cleveland did 414 vetoes just in his first term. That's more than all the presidents before him combined. After his first term as president, he lost to Ben Harrison in the re-election. But this would not stop him. He would rerun in 1893 and become the president for a second inconsecutive term. Grover's second term was a rough one. The people were going through a depression and they blamed it on Grover. This made Grover unpopular among the people. And when he finally left in 1897, he wasn't liked much. Grover was an influential man for many, some saying, quote, he possessed honesty, courage, firmness, independence, and common sense.
Franklin D. Roosevelt in 60 Seconds by Brecken Anderson. Here we go. FDR was the 32nd president and is a member of the Democratic Party. He was born in 1882 and died in 1945. His latter terms were surrounded in World War II, and he served the most terms ever. Nowadays, he's surrounded in both praise and criticism. Roosevelt was born into a wealthy family in Hyde Park, New York. He graduated from Harvard despite being an average student, and one of his cousins is Theodore Roosevelt, who dealt a great deal of inspiration to him. FDR was a very accomplished president. He provided economic relief during the Great Depression, was partly responsible for the ending of World War II, helped found the United Nations, and started development of the world's first atomic bomb. FDR is often considered by historians to be one of the most important figures in U.S. history, along with Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. He led us through World War II and the Great Depression and redefined liberalism for years to come.
John F. Kennedy. We've all heard his name, but what about his story? John grew up in Boston with 8 other siblings. After boarding school, John went to Harvard, where he got his undergrad degree. Once John graduated from college, he fought in World War II with his brother Joe. After the war, John met the love of his life, Jackie, and they soon got married and had their first child. In 1960, JFK started his presidential campaign, which he won in 1961. At the beginning of JFK's time in office, the Kennedys had their second child. During John's time as president, he not only kept America from going into a nuclear war, but helped civil rights laws, and even helped bail Martin Luther King Jr. out of jail. However, it all ended too soon, and on November 22, 1963, JFK was shot by Lee Oswald and soon died. John F. Kennedy, a Democrat and America's 35th president.